All right, here's a crazy thought for you. What if the best playbook for dealing with the absolute chaos of today's AI revolution was actually written way back in 1987? Yeah, I know it sounds nuts, but today we're going to crack open Tom Peters' classic, Thriving on Chaos, and you're going to see why his ideas are, somehow, more critical right now than they were back then.
So, let me ask you something, right off the bat. That 5-year plan your company has, is it already a museum piece? I mean, seriously, we live in a world where one new algorithm can literally flip an entire industry on its head overnight. So these long, rigid plans, they start to look kind of naive, right?
And this is the guy who basically called it, Tom Peters. He dropped this warning back in 1987. Think about that for a second. This is before the internet was a thing for most people, way before anyone was talking about AI. He was looking at things like global manufacturing, and he saw a pattern. And this quote, wow, it just perfectly nails the insane exponential change we're all swimming in today. The man was decades ahead of the curve.
So, this all leads us to the heart of what Peters was getting at. He called it the end of stability. Basically, the old rules just don't apply anymore. The whole foundation of management for, the last century was built on predictability. And well, that world is just gone.
Here's the core problem he laid out. So many of our organizations were built for a different time, right? They were designed for stable, predictable markets. You know the drill. Deep hierarchies, tons of rules, these slow, grinding 5-year plans. Peters argued that in today's world of constant, crazy change, those things aren't just assets anymore. They're actually dangerous liabilities. Trying to lock everything down and control it, it's not just a bad strategy, he said. It's a straight-up recipe for going extinct.
All right, so if the old way is totally busted, what are we supposed to do? Well, this is where Peters gets really radical. He proposed something that, back then, probably sounded like complete heresy. He said, the new rule is to love chaos. Yeah, not just put up with it or survive it, actually embrace it. And that, my friends, requires a huge shift in mindset.
So what does it actually mean to thrive on chaos? It's about completely flipping the script. It's a whole philosophy that looks at this constant storm of change and doesn't see a threat to be managed. No, it sees it as the single biggest opportunity out there. The whole point is to become so ridiculously flexible and fast that you're basically surfing the waves of chaos, while all your old, rigid competitors are just getting hammered and swept away by them.
And this comparison here just lays it all out, crystal clear. You've got the old way, which is all about control, right? Top-down commands, rigid hierarchies, those 5-year plans carved in stone. Then you've got the chaos way. It's all about flexibility. It's about pushing power and decision-making down to small, empowered teams that can pivot in a matter of days, not wait for the next annual review. You're literally moving from a stiff, slow pyramid to a fast, fluid network. It's night and day.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? That's the best part. Peters didn't just drop this big idea and walk away. He gave us a playbook, a really practical one, broken down into 5 key principles.
First up, Pillar 1, total customer responsiveness. And look, this is way more than just having a polite customer service team. This is about making customer obsession the beating heart of the entire company. It means you specialize, you find your niche. Quality isn't a goal, it's the absolute baseline. Everything, and I mean everything, is organized around making your customer ridiculously happy.
Pillar number 2 is all about fast-paced innovation. He's saying forget those huge, slow, multi-year R&D projects that might never see the light of day. Instead, you need a culture of constant, messy, non-stop experimentation. Go after hundreds of small wins. Run tons of pilots. And this next part is absolutely crucial. You have to reward excellent failures. You know, those smart risks you took that just didn't work out. Because those failures, they're not mistakes. They're the tuition you pay to find the next game-changing breakthrough.
All right, Pillar 3, empower your people. And not just a little bit, we're talking radical empowerment. Peters' core belief was super simple. The folks on the front lines, the ones actually doing the work, they know way more than the execs sitting in some corner office. So what's his advice? Share all the information. And get this, destroy middle management. Create self-managing teams that can actually hire, fire, and run their own show. And training? That's not a budget line item to be cut. It's a capital investment in your company's speed and agility. Now, of course, this means you need a totally different kind of leadership. Pillar 4 is all about leadership for change. A leader's job is no longer to be a policeman, sitting behind a desk enforcing rules. Nope. Your job is to be out on the floor, listening. That's his famous management by walking around. In a world of chaos, real leaders delegate pretty much everything, so they can focus on one thing, being a facilitator, a coach, and a cheerleader for their teams.
And finally, pillar 5. Look, none of this other stuff works if your systems are slow and clunky. You have to build responsive systems. You've got to design your entire organization for one thing: speed. That means you push authority and decision-making way down to the lowest possible level. You stop measuring 1,000 different KPIs and focus only on a handful of things that your customer actually cares about. And you have to be ruthless about simplifying every single process. If it's slow, if it's bureaucratic, you kill it. Simple as that.
Okay, so let's bring this all back to today. Why are we talking about a book from 1987 in the age of AI? It's simple, really, because this matters now more than ever. Just take out the words Japanese manufacturing threat from the book and plug in generative AI. Suddenly, the entire playbook feels like it was written this morning.
I mean, just look at these parallels. The source of the chaos might be different. Back then, it was about new manufacturing techniques from Japan. Today, it's generative AI and automation. But the response needed is exactly the same. They were talking about reducing cycle times. We're talking about AI-driven workflows. It's the same idea. And maybe the most important point of all, in a world that's getting more and more automated, what's the one thing that can't be copied? It's that human-centric stuff Peters was screaming about: empathy, real connection, customer obsession. That becomes your ultimate unshakable competitive advantage.
And just to hammer home how revolutionary this thinking was, let's put it up against something like Parkinson's law. You know, the idea that bureaucracy is just this inevitable disease that always grows? Parkinson basically said, well, that's just how it is. But Peters? No way. He saw bureaucracy as a flat-out death sentence that you had to actively go out and destroy. Parkinson's focus was all internal, office politics, paperwork. Peters' focus was 100% external, delighting the customer. The solution isn't to just be aware of the problem. The solution is to start a revolution inside your own company.
So if you take away only one thing from all this, let it be this. In a world that's constantly being disrupted, your cool new product, your brilliant strategy, your killer business model, guess what? They all have a shelf life. They are all temporary. The only sustainable, long-term competitive advantage you have is how fast your organization can learn and adapt. It's your ability to not just face chaos, but to embrace it and move faster than everybody else.
And that really leaves us all with a pretty big question to think about. We know AI is accelerating change to speeds we can barely even comprehend. So is that chaos your biggest threat? Is it the thing that's going to sink you? Or could it be your greatest opportunity? Will you use these ideas to ride that wave?